Johnny Talk Sports here to bring you my Week 6 college football predictions. But before we get to that, I want to apologize for the deletion of the college football playoff top 10 that I made. I went back and listened to it after it was uploaded, and just the quality of that video, the way that I felt like it was being presented, I just feel like it wasn't up to my standards, so I removed that. So I'm just going to do the top 10 right now. That way we can have this at the beginning of the video instead of overwhelming you guys with multiple videos at a time. But once we get the playoff committee top 10s going, I'm going to probably do the top 10s right after all the games on Saturday, kind of how I did it last year. So for those of you that have watched last year, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that are new, before the playoff committee releases their top 10 on the following Tuesday night, after the games are done on that particular Saturday, I'm going to have a new top 10 every single week. Although I'd hope to have a new top 10 because that would make the sport very exciting, but if it was kind of the same, that'd just be kind of boring. So hopefully it's going to be a brand new top 10 every week. So just to kind of let you guys know what's ahead. So that's what my plan was. I'm planning on putting the board right around here maybe, or right around here. Not sure where it's going to go yet, but I think it's going to go somewhere. Alright, so let's quickly go through this top 10. Number 1, of course, I have Alabama. And I think Alabama is going to be number 1 until they go down. Number 2, I have the LSU Tigers. Number 3, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 4, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Number 5, the Clemson Tigers. Number 6, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 7, the Oklahoma Sooners. Number 8, the Auburn Tigers. Number 9, the Washington Huskies. And number 10, the UCF Golden Knights. That's right, I put UCF in my top 10. Alright, let's quickly go through this. Alabama being number 1, of course. That's really what we've all expected. Even if I was like a fan of another channel, I would kind of know Alabama would be number 1 because Alabama will be number 1 until they go down. Kind of like how it was last year. Now number 2, this is kind of where it gets interesting. The LSU Tigers at number 2. And the reason why I have that is because LSU has the 2 best wins of the season out of anybody. They're the only team in college football with 2 top 10 wins. Over number 8 Miami at the time and number 9 Auburn at the time. So they've got 2 top 10 victories. And just to add into the resume, 2 top 9 victories. And LSU has a chance to even boost up that resume even more with a win this week over number 22 Florida. And guess what? They're playing Georgia next weekend. And I'm not really trying to be selfish, though. Although I would hope you would want to be selfish as well. Here's my challenge for this week. Let's root for Georgia and LSU to do business this week. To take care of their business this week. That way we get a top 5 clash. So let's root for them to take care of business this week and let them face off in a top 5 matchup. So that's my challenge this week. And also they get to play Alabama in November. So LSU's got big time opportunities to increase this resume. Number 3, Ohio State. Some would argue that the Buckeyes may not deserve to be here, but they were able to come back against Penn State on the road. They were able to come back against TCU on a neutral site in Arlington, Texas. So Ohio State, they've got 2 good wins as well. Notre Dame at number 4, they've got 2 good wins as well. But they were both at home. At home against Michigan and at home against Stanford. But they have an opportunity this weekend to go on the road and pull off a win against Virginia Tech. Number 5, Clemson. Clemson, I don't think, has had a convincing win yet this season. In fact, Clemson is kind of, I want to say it's panic mode, but I don't think it's necessarily panic mode. Clemson just survived last week against Syracuse with third-string quarterback Chase Bryce. So Clemson right now, I feel like, is in survival mode. I think Clemson's just trying to coast to the end of the regular season right now. At least that's the goal for Clemson. Because Clemson's schedule is arguably pretty easy, but nothing gets easy once the calendar turns October, November. So I think the mentality for Clemson right now is that they need to just coast to the ACC championship game and hope for the best. Number 6, the Georgia Bulldogs. Kind of the same thing. They don't necessarily have a convincing win yet this year. Oklahoma, a little bit of the same deal. Not necessarily a convincing win yet, but they can get one against Texas, and they play West Virginia later in the season. Number 8, Auburn. I just feel like Auburn is the best one-loss team in college football. And their one loss is on a field goal as the time expired against the team that's number 2 in the rankings. And Washington, number 9, they're just behind Auburn because Washington's one loss was to Auburn. And number 10, UCF. UCF probably will be higher up if they keep winning. But I feel like UCF should get a chance this year because they're doing whatever they did, the same thing they've done last year. So hopefully if UCF is still undefeated by the first playoff committee by the first playoff committee ranking, they should at least have a top 10 ranking. But once we see this top 10, outside the top 10, some teams can easily still get in because there's a lot of college football that's to be played. We're only in week 6. And there's a lot of good matchups left. A lot of games that are going to impact the college football playoff still to go. But the objective for Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson, Georgia, Oklahoma, just keep on winning all your games. It doesn't matter where those 7 teams are right now. If any of those 7 teams win out, they're going to be in the top 4, and there's no doubt about it. But for teams like Auburn and Washington, you need to win out. And unfortunately, if you're like UCF, you need everybody to lose probably at least once. Well, you need a bunch of teams to lose more than one. Well, you need a bunch of teams to lose more than once and just have only maybe... Well, you just need to hope everybody loses at some point for UCF. That way, there's more of a chance this season. But UCF is still winning games, just like they did last year. So enough of the top 10. It is time for the Week 6 college football predictions. Just back to what you're here for. 10 matchups this week, 9-1 last week. And once again, 18-2 the last 2 weeks. I've been unstoppable these last 2 weeks, which I'm very surprised with. Let's see if we can continue this. I would hope we would. Alright, so first matchup this week. We've done these matchups, well, let's just go through these together. Now, I've decided to put these matchups kind of in order from the least interest and appeal to the most interest and appeal, ending with the game of the week. Northwestern versus number 20 Michigan State. Northwestern gave the Michigan Wolverines a run for their money last week, but they're on the road this week against Michigan State, and I think Michigan State comes out with the win. Michigan State is still in the hunt for the college football playoff, but they have to win out. They will have opportunities to pick up resume builders. But this isn't really going to be one. But if they can keep winning, and if they can win out, they should have a good shot to be in the college football playoff. I've got the Spartans. Next, we have the Missouri Tigers versus the South Carolina Gamecocks. And I'm taking Missouri. South Carolina has just been a disappointment so far. I really expected more from this Gamecocks team, but I just haven't seen it. And I've got Missouri. Next, we got number 4 Clemson versus Wake Forest. Kind of just what I said a couple minutes ago. Clemson right now, their schedule is arguably easy, but it's not really a cakewalk. But right now, Clemson is just in survival mode. Because their first quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, their first quarterback right now, Trevor Lawrence, he suffered, looks like he's got a neck strain, but we're not sure if he's going to play or not, or if it's going to be Chase Bryce. And Kelly Bryant is already transferred. So right now, Clemson's just in survival mode. But I think they survive here against Wake Forest. Even though it's a road game, the last time Wake Forest played a team with a quarterback change, didn't really end well. Next, we've got Florida State versus number 17 Miami, Florida. Now, this is a rivalry game, the in-state Florida rivalry game, so this is going to be very exciting to watch. But I've got the Hurricanes winning this one. I think they're going to recover quite nicely from that Labor Day weekend crap show against LSU. It's going to be interesting to see if Miami can respond too, because they could still have a shot to get in. Next match, we got Arizona State versus number 21 Colorado. The rankings are just getting crazier every single week, because now Colorado is shockingly undefeated and number 21 in the country. I think Colorado gets the win here. I think this is going to be a very surprisingly offensive affair. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a game like 63-60 in 4 overtimes. It could easily be a game like that. I don't see a lot of defense being played in this game. Arizona State's running game has kind of come to life in the last couple of weeks. So I've got Arizona State competing with them, but I think Colorado wins in a way high-scoring game, 63-60. Next, we got number 8 Auburn versus Mississippi State. Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now, though. I think an upset's happening somewhere, but I just don't know where it is. There's just something in my gut that just feels like there's going to be an upset this week. There may even be more than one. However, no upset here. Mississippi State has lost 2 in a row. They're kind of, I don't know, they've kind of hit rock bottom right now, but the question is, can they get back up? I think the last thing you want is to face a team like Auburn, who still has playoff hopes, who still has national championship hopes. And I've got the Auburn Tigers winning, but maybe not by as much as what the lines or what the experts can say. I see this only being a 1-possession victory for the Auburn Tigers. I'll be surprised if Auburn wins by anything more than 13 points. Next, we have number 13 Kentucky versus Texas A&M. Okay, and I don't think I've picked Texas A&M on this show in a very long time. But I just have to this week. This is just where I feel like an upset is going to be happening. Because Kentucky right now, they have silenced all the doubters right now. Like myself included, even though I picked Kentucky last week. But going into a place like Kyle Field, where there's over 104,000 people screaming, and they're shouting, and especially at the nighttime, Kyle Field's a very hard place to play at night. Well, a hard place to play in general. And I don't think that Kentucky's ever played at Texas A&M before, at least ever since A&M joined the SEC. So I'm taking Texas A&M to win. But I don't think it's going to be like a huge blowout. I don't think Texas A&M is just going to come out and just start pounding it on Kentucky. I think Texas A&M wins by a single point, 35-34. I could see this being an offensive affair in the second half, and Texas A&M wins 35-34 with maybe a missed extra point or something, or a missed field goal by Kentucky as the game ends. I could see a game like that. Now here we come to the big ones. Number 6 Notre Dame versus number 24 Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech responded nicely to that loss against Old Dominion by blowing out Duke, who was number 22. But Notre Dame, they have 2 convincing wins so far against Michigan and Stanford, but they were both at home. They have an opportunity to get a road win in Lane Stadium. I think it's going to be difficult, but I think the Irish come out on top. I think the Irish win 31-28 in overtime. I think we're going to see a low-scoring first quarter. And then once you get to that second quarter, the points will come in. I could see Notre Dame rallying in the fourth quarter and forcing overtime, and they have the momentum to win 31-28 in overtime. I think the defense rises up when Virginia Tech has the ball with a chance to tie and send it to a second overtime or win the game. But Notre Dame will get a strip sack on second down. Next, we got number 5 LSU versus number 24 number 5 LSU versus number 22 Florida. I surprisingly think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think LSU wins it, but I don't think they win it easily. I think with the game being in the swamp, I could see LSU having some problems. But I think LSU picks up a win in a surprisingly low-scoring game, 19-13. And finally, the game of the week, number 19 Texas versus number 7 Oklahoma. The Red River rivalry. Arguably the biggest rivalry in all of college football. And I don't know who to pick in this one. Like, I didn't know who was going to pick until right before I hit the record button. But the way I see this game, the Texas defense, I can't necessarily trust Texas at this point still. Despite Texas responding very well after the loss to Maryland in Week 1. There are points where the Texas defense bends but doesn't necessarily break. The Texas offense struggled to score in the second half last week against Kansas State. So if Texas wants to win this game, they've got to score in the second half. Because Oklahoma is a second half team. But I think Oklahoma wins a high-scoring game. I think Kyler Murray is the difference in this game. I think Oklahoma wins this game 42-38. So there's my picks this week. Like, subscribe, and share. Also comment your thoughts on my top 10. Also comment your thoughts on my picks. And comment your picks as well. And I will see you next time. For my picks against the spread, can I go 5-0 again this week? Or should I say, can I go 5-0 for the third consecutive week? We'll find out. See you next time.